Part 69. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 681. Mu looked at Patriarch Du with a blank face, and Elder Mu took a step forward with a cold face. Patriarch Du, this is the patriarch of our Mu family, it's not your turn to call him by his first name. Is he a Mu or a Mao child? Although Mu is much younger, he now represents the Mu family. The Mu family now has two superpowers, and in terms of strength, they are already standing above the other three of the four major families. The Du family leader was extremely angry. Then it's not the turn of these outsiders to participate. What does the Mu family think of Yongxian City now? Is it true that the Mu family thinks that they can surpass the rest of our families now? Mu curled her lips and sneered. Only the head of the Du family has always regarded Yongxian City as his personal property. Which family was not controlled by your Du family in the past? Don't be ashamed, old guy, it's not your Du family's turn for my shepherd's family. Pointing fingers. If you were rude, many people present gasped and looked at Mu, as if they didn't know him anymore. They never thought he would be so strong. Looking at the Du family head again, an old guy would almost kill him. Pissed off. The Zhou and Zheng family are not too happy. Mu is young, but his strength has improved too fast. Does this mean that they don't care about the older generation? If it goes on like this, with the alchemist Yuan standing behind him, I am afraid that there is really only the Mu family left in Yongxian City, and the elder Mu was not created by them. The two of them tried every means to win over the four of Guyao, but to no avail. The Yuan Dan returned from the auction, let them know that the alchemy skills of the two Yuan alchemists are really no worse than that of the Du family, and the quality of Yuan Dan is better than that of the Du family. The family's output is higher, and they completely stand on the side of the shepherd's family, which makes them feel a great threat. Patriarch Zhou stepped forward. Patriarch Mu, do you really want to insist on doing it? Yes, the affairs of my shepherd's family are naturally up to the owner of the family. Besides, is there anyone in my shepherd's family who opposes my decision? Nonsense. Now that Mu is backed by Elder Mu, who would dare to object? The opponents were suppressed by the high pressure for a long time, and Patriarch Mu made it clear that he didn't care about the matter, and he didn't show up until he watched this time. The two patriarchs of Zhou and Zheng often scolded him for being spineless in their hearts, and he was pinched by a junior. Patriarch Zhou also froze and turned his sleeves, then Patriarch Mu should do it for himself. The corner of Mu's mouth raised a sarcastic arc. These old guys are addicted to acting, when he can't see their intentions. The reason why the Du family had been holding back and didn't do anything before was because they were waiting for this good opportunity. They were waiting for them to bring the four seniors into the secret place, so that they could join forces to deal with them in the secret place. Everyone had their own thoughts, and after everyone came together, headed by the four great families, the patriarchs took out the tokens they were in charge of, and entered the Yuan Li to activate, and the space in front of them set off waves of ripples. When they came here, Guyao and several people noticed that there was a very high-level formation restriction here, and they didn't know what to rely on to run them over the years. If their strength was not restricted, it would be difficult to open it, let alone strength. It was greatly restricted, so following Mu in was the only way out. With 4 main tokens and 10 secondary tokens, an entrance was quickly opened in the prohibition. The secondary token protected the main token to form an aperture. The Du family head snorted and flew towards the aperture first, followed by the Zhou family. The Zheng family followed closely, and Mu was not at all worried about whether they would attack the Mu family after they entered first, and led the team of the Mu family to fly towards the aperture. Those who can come to the secret place are all heaven-level martial masters. It can be said that almost all the masters of Tianyuan continent are gathered here, and they are not qualified to participate in the weak cultivation base. They don't even know this place, and there is no token to open the way. Can't get into it? As soon as they passed through the aperture gate, a strange look flashed in the eyes of the four of Guyao. Inside this restriction, they were able to use a part of their own power. Excellent news. If you want to return to the fairyland, it is right to come here. When everyone came in, the tokens flew back to their respective owners. The time was only half a year. After half a year, they had to open the entrance and leave. Otherwise, the restriction would be strengthened. Stuck here. Everyone, farewell. See you at Yongxian Pagoda. All the patriarchs took their clansmen and said goodbye to each other and left one after another. The Du family and the Zhou Zheng family did not stop. They quickly chose a direction and left, leaving the place where they were. Shepherd. Senior, let's walk around first, or go directly to Yongxian Pagoda. Mu Yu looked around and asked the four Guyao. He didn't care about what he would gain after entering the secret place. He thought, no matter how big the harvest is not as big as what he got from the four of Guyao. Guyao said, just follow the direction of Yongxian Pagoda. Okay, senior. Elder Mu was leading the way in case of danger. Besides him and Mu Yu, there were two elders in the Mu family. They had opinions in their hearts and did not dare to speak out against them. Because the environment here is very good, there are many treasures of heaven and earth. If you are lucky enough to get it, it is very easy to raise your cultivation base by a small step. Before the elder Muda, the four noble families who could become the top-level martial arts masters were able to break through by relying on the harvest in the secret field, because the UN alchemist of the Du family could not refine the top-level essence of the sky early. It was because of this that Guyao and Su Chen were so sought after in Yongxian City, so they entered the secret place for the second time. Although they were very opposed to outsiders joining in, on the surface, they never wanted to offend these two Yuan Dan masters. Understand? At least these two Yuan Dan masters were much more generous than the Du family, and they released more heaven-level Yuan Dan than the Du family had accumulated in the past 20 or 30 years. They may not personally agree with Mu Yu's words, but it is not suitable for tearing face with the Du family. The four of Guyao walked unhurriedly. They were transmitting voices to each other, and some of their divine senses could be used, which was a lot more convenient for them. The energy here is very strong, like there is a huge UN gathering array, which absorbs all the energy. There is UN power, star power, and immortal chi. Guyao distinguished one by one. Maybe that's why this great formation has remained so solid for so long. He looked up at the sky, and he could vaguely see the stars in the sky. In such a space of divine punishment, it must have taken a lot of time and effort to set up such a formation. Unfortunately, the four of them were in the formation. The level is not too high, unable to appreciate the magic of the big array. With such abundant energy, many natural treasures and precious primordial plants grow naturally. After walking for a while, I heard the surprise sound of the other two elders, ran out and picked a few celestial primordial plants and came back. No wonder the other families couldn't wait to leave, and it was not worth wasting time on the shepherd's family. Guyao and Su Chen did as the locals did. When they met Yuan Ji on the road, they also picked it up. Because of a little recovery of spiritual consciousness, they could always gain more than the two elders of the Mu family, which attracted the two of them to ask Gu frequently. The four of them cast strange glances. Mu Yu, the head of the family, helped Guyao and the others, which made the two elders even more depressed. However, the situation was not as good as others, and the first elder did not express any opinion. What could they say? After a day, their harvest was not small, but the top-level Yuanzi still hadn't been found. Wait, Guyao suddenly stopped and pointed to the side. There is a restriction there. In such a place, Zi Bao can play the greatest role, so Guyao let him out again and hit him in the middle of his hair. Just now, it was just what Zi Bao told him, that there was a strong wood energy there, and it should be growing. Better quality plants, Guyao carefully distinguished. As expected, there is a hidden prohibition, it is easy for them to ignore the past. I'm coming. Chi Changjai walked over, and the sword of immortal slaughter appeared in his hand. The first elder saw his brows jumping, but the other two elders didn't know it. This blood-red sword was not ordinary at first glance. They could only get hungry. Maybe it's because of the existence of this sword in the Mu family. Most of the swordsmen in the clan are swordsmen. Who wouldn't be jealous when they saw a good sword? Chi Changjai just swung forward with the sword, and lightly made a crack in the restriction. Liao Su expressed his appreciation. Changjai, your swordsmanship has improved a lot. It seems that you have gained the most from this trip. Thank you. Chi Changjai pulled Gu Yao and dodged in. Su Chen and Liao Su quickly followed. When everyone entered, the crack closed behind them. When they disappeared, two figures emerged from behind, looking at the direction they disappeared. How come we didn't know there was a secret place there? Look at the breath leaking out there must be a lot of good things. Another sneered and said, what's the use of getting more good things now, isn't it going to be a wedding dress for others? Don't worry, I've already set up the heavenly net and waited for them to get in by themselves. Where did you say that blood sword came from? I haven't seen it before. Could it be their own? Who knows, but it is estimated that it will not be our turn to get it. Another regretted. The two reported the situation here, but Gu Yao, who had already mobilized some of their consciousness, would really not be able to discover their existence. But there is no threat, let them go, and they can even be used in turn. Starfruit. Soul Destroyer Suan Lu. Tianyuan Longji. One by one extremely rare names were spat out of Gu Yao and Su Chen's mouths. The two looked at each other and were full of surprises and shocks. Any kind of heaven and earth treasure here is extremely rare in the fairy world. A group will grow here. Posted. They really did. Originally, they were not very interested in this secret place, thinking that the main target was above the Yongxian Pagoda. The discovery of this ban made them change their minds. It seems that they will adjust their route next. Senior, do you want us to help collect it? Mu rarely recognized one or two things, but looking at the expressions of the seniors, everything here is good. Thing. Gu Yao pulled out a blank jade slip, recorded the correct collection method of these treasures, and then threw it to Chi Changjai, asking him to help explain, while he and Su Chen hurried to harvest the treasures. The two elders of the shepherd's family were originally very resentful, but they were surprised when they heard Chi Changjai's explanation. Will the wrong method really destroy their medicinal properties? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 682. The two elders of the shepherd's family lowered their doubts when they saw that Chi Changjai and Liao Su were carefully using tools to collect plants. The four of Gu Yao did not deliberately reject them. For example, the star fruit needs to be collected with a special hand formula and placed in a special container. If any link is wrong, the star fruit will begin to dissipate automatically, and the energy will return to the heaven and earth. Elder Mu and Mu Yu were struck dumb. These treasures of heaven and earth were far beyond their expectations and knowledge. Most of them didn't know each other, but Gu Yao and the others knew that compared to the Yuanzi they collected before, the value is too much. But there is nothing to regret, these things fall into their hands, and they don't know how to use them. The four cooperated and worked for 2 hours before they finished picking the treasures that survived here, and they rested here again. At this time, Gu Yao told Mu Yu the truth. According to our estimation, this entire secret place is wrapped by a very large formation, and this huge formation includes a great formation of stars, and by absorbing the power of stars, to maintain the operation of the big array, there may be other functions that we don't know. The place where we are now, the power of stars is very strong, and it has not been discovered for over 7 years, so there are some people who rely on the power of stars. A special treasure of heaven and earth. Mu Yu nodded and said, so it is, the seniors don't say it, and we don't know the specific situation of the secret place. Elder Mu was surprised. No wonder Mu trusted these four so much. Their knowledge far surpassed that of the martial masters in Tianyuan continent. Where did they come from? It seemed that Mu knew something. Guyao also said, some of the treasures of heaven and earth contain too much energy, even if they are made into pills, you can't bear the power of the medicine, but there are still a few things that can be done, and there is still time to refine a few pots of pills to improve strength. Mu said gratefully, thank you for Senior Gu and Senior Su. Guyao waved his hand, and Su Chen went to the side to open the furnace to make pills. The two discussed with each other what kind of pills to make. Guyao took out the necessary ingredients one by one from the space. Later, the two of them made pills on the spot, not at all care about being looked at by the four of the shepherd's family. Because the immortal energy and spiritual consciousness can be used, and the level of the refined medicinal pills is not too high, it did not take too long, and a few pots of pills were released one after another. The elders were all intoxicated, and the other two elders were also very fortunate. If they did not follow up, such a great opportunity would be missed. Guyao gave some of the medicinal pills to Mu and asked him to distribute them. All four of them could use them, mainly for tempering their bodies. After 2 days, they left the restriction and continued to explore the secret place. Elder Mu is not too young, but after taking the medicinal pills this time, he feels much younger than before. Maybe he can really make breakthroughs again on the basis of the current situation. This realization made him very excited. Fortunately, at the beginning there is no road to black. The other two elders were also convinced by Guyao and the others, and decided to lead them everywhere. When they came out this time, they changed their original decision. Before, they wanted to go straight to the Yongxian Pagoda. Now Guyao and the others realized that there are a lot of good things hidden in this great formation. It's a shame, so they veered off course after the ban. The Earth-type treasure plant we obtained before came from here, right? There is a big formation here, and maybe there is a 5-element formation, Su Chen guessed. Guyao couldn't help his heartbeat when he heard it. If it is, it means that someone else has entered, maybe the good things have already been. Not much. That being said, Guyao still had great expectations in his heart. Not only did he ask Zi Bao to help, but he also used his divine sense to conduct a carpet-like search, avoiding other clan teams on the way. At first, Elder Mu thought it was strange that they couldn't meet other families all the time. After a long time, he vaguely guessed in his heart that Guyao and the others did something to prevent them from running into each other. As for the two martial masters who were following behind, after discovering the good things hidden in the secret place, after they left the restraint, they left the two behind without a trace, but they didn't want to compare their actions with the good things harvested are exposed under the eyes of the other party, and it is impossible to say that the other party will attract other families, which will increase the trouble. After searching like this for half a month, they finally found another place. There is earth element force leaking out. It seems that this ban has been damaged before. Although I have the repair function, there are still some gaps left. Let's go. In. An opening was opened in the gap, and a group of people quickly dodged in. After entering, he felt that it was full of strong earth energy, and Su Chen said with emotion, we expected nothing wrong. In addition to the star formation, there is also a 5-element formation, which should also be the base of the formation. Someone broke into this place for some reason, and there are traces of damage inside, so there are fewer natural treasures growing here than before, but there are still some good things that survived, all of which were destroyed by Guyao and the others. Found them one by one. When he was about to leave to go to the next place, Zi Bao suddenly tugged at Guyao's hair. Brother, there is something good. The smell of that little thing was hidden too deep before. If it hadn't just moved, I was deceived by it. Guyao stopped and looked back. What could it be? It can be moved. Guyao made himself very excited just guessing, and said to Chi Changjai, "Wait a minute, I found some omissions. I'll accompany you." Chi Changjai and Guyao returned together. "Quick, it's going to run," Zi Bao Bao shouted and sent the location to Guyao. Guyao took Chi Changjai's hand and swept in that direction, waved his hand, and a wooden cage covered the place. Now Chi Changjai also discovered it, and saw a mass of cocky things in it. Collision around the cage, trying to escape. Just opened a gap, but at this time Guyao was already close, and with a wave of his hand, he sent everything here into the space. Yo-yang. The cocky light group was dizzy and turned around for a while, and found that the environment had changed, and it was dumbfounded. After a while, it floated up and down tentatively, and no other creatures appeared. Some got into the fairy field where a large piece of fairy grass grows. Although Guyao didn't enter the space, he kept observing with his divine sense, and he couldn't stop laughing when he noticed the careful movements of the cocky light group. He found out that this is the earth spirit nurtured by the special environment in this place, but the time to enlighten the spirit is not the same. It's not long, and it can't be compared with a wood spirit like Zi Bao Bao, but it is very difficult to be able to enlighten the spirit. When it got into the immortal field, Guyao's divine sense could see it very clearly. It turned into a very ordinary stone, but the immortal field in the space, because of this stone, became more fertile and rich with the naked eye. The earth element force made the fairy grass growing on it to grow a lot faster. Guyao's voice transmission told Chi Changjai about the situation. Chi Changjai raised the corner of his mouth. He was in a good mood, and he was even more determined to win the other 4 places. They were hurrying to find other 5-element formation bases, but they didn't know that many people were looking for them in the secret place. Since Guyao and the others got rid of the 2 stalkers, the family who wanted to pay attention to their whereabouts found that they had completely lost their whereabouts. For a family like the Du family, who were already thinking about it, they were even more suspicious of whether the Shepherd family had any conspiracy against them. The more they couldn't find them, the more anxious they became. "I haven't found it yet." "Other families haven't found it," Du Patriarch said angrily. "Patriarch, I contacted other families, but I didn't find that the 4 guys that Mu brought back were too suspicious." "Damn it," Du Patriarch dropped the cup in his hand. "Patriarch, why don't we send people to search and rush to Yongxian Pagoda first, and wait for them to throw themselves into the net?" the elder of the Du family said. Discussion. "It seems that this is the only way. Send a message to the other families, and we will set off." "Yes, Master." The Du family not only wanted to eradicate the Mu family and the 4 suspicious people, but also wanted to obtain their alchemy skills from them, so the Du family would not allow their own mistakes. Patriarch Du repeatedly confirmed his plan. Although there were some deviations at the beginning, he didn't think his plan would fail. This thought calmed his anxious heart a little. In a blink of an eye, half of the time in the secret place has passed. Guyao and his group of 4 walked out from the last 5-element formation. Mu waited outside with the 3 elders. But they couldn't stand the violent fire energy inside, so they asked to stay outside, and the previous metallic formation made them suffer a little. A hidden formation was specially arranged outside, and Mu was kept inside with the 3 of them, so the whereabouts were still not leaked. On the contrary, the 4 of them had swallowed several kinds of medicinal pills during this time. Guyao and Su Chen refined attribute pills for them according to the attributes of their Yuan Li, so compared to when they first came in, the 4 of them now the strength has made great progress. The 2 pastoral elders who followed up turned out to be only mid-level martial arts masters, but now they feel that they can take a step forward and become high-level martial arts masters. After meeting, Guyao said, "It's almost time, let's go to Yongxian Pagoda." Mu nodded, "Okay, but we haven't shown up for so long. It's probably busy at Yongxian Pagoda." Having said that, Mu didn't seem worried at all. The group rushed to Yongxian Pagoda unhurriedly. The Wan family's team was also very close to the Yongxian Pagoda, but the Wan family master stopped. "Patriarch, are we not going forward?" Master Wan shook his head and said, "No need, we'll just stay here and get in touch with the Yun family. By the way, we'd better meet each other." Head. The owner is worried that the Yongxian Pagoda will be buried, and even our Wan family and the Yun family will be targeted. It's not impossible, be careful. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 683. The Wan Yun family finally met and communicated with each other, and they all decided that the families headed by the Du family could not pass up this opportunity to deal with the Mu family and Guyao. Patriarch Yun worried, "I don't know where Senior Qi and the others are now. I got news that none of the families who came in have met them in the secret place." Wan Patriarch's eyes flashed, "Maybe they found a place we can't get in. Do you remember that there was a rumor in Yongxian City?" Patriarch Yun also remembered, "You mean, there is another treasure hidden in this secret place? Has anyone really discovered it?" Patriarch Wan said, "It's not impossible, Senior Qi and Alchemist Gu, their origins are quite mysterious, and their strength is unfathomable, and they will not be surprised if they do anything. We might as well just wait here." Patriarch Yun understands what he means, and standing with the shepherd's family may be able to obtain greater opportunities. Guyao and his party are coming towards them. After exploring the 5-5-element formation bases, they can infer why the Earth attribute formation base has been broken into, because only that place has found the existence of Earth spirits. So it is very likely that the Earth spirit had entered and exited the formation base, and accidentally leaked its breath and was discovered by the family who entered the secret place, so that they discovered the existence of the formation base, tried every means to enter it, and brought out a lot of heaven and earth treasures. If it is just used improperly, these treasures of heaven and earth will not bring them the greatest benefit. According to their speculation, this family should be destroyed in the end, and the things they got at the beginning are scattered everywhere, and what they get is only among them. 1. Some of which may have been improperly preserved, has long since lost its potency. The group walked unhurriedly, and the Wan Yun family guarded the place they had to pass. When the shepherd's team first appeared, someone noticed that the Wan family leader and the Cloud family leader immediately came out to greet them. At this moment, Mu Yu was of the same identities as them. The three patriarchs greeted each other with respect. Only then did Patriarch Wan and Patriarch Yun express their concerns, while Mu Yu was all based on Guyao's opinions. Let's go see the Yongxian Pagoda together." Qi Changjai raised his eyebrows and said carelessly. "Okay, let's go together," Patriarch Wan and Patriarch Yun said in unison. The people of the three families guarded the four of Guyao in the middle, and walked towards a high tower. The closer they got to the tower, the more Guyao and the others could discover the extraordinariness of this tower. The heart of the entire formation. The four of them looked at the top of the tower. The height of Yongxian Tower was obviously limited, but it just gave people a feeling that it was infinitely close to the sky. If one stepped forward, they could pierce the sky and go to another world. Now, this feeling made the four of them even more curious about the Yongxian Pagoda itself. The news of their appearance was also received by the martial masters headed by the Du family. When they saw them approaching, the eyes of the people headed by the Du family showed excitement. As long as they stepped in, they would not die without a corpse. But also make them completely lose their combat effectiveness and let them do whatever they want. Guyao and his party suddenly stopped moving forward. Su Chen touched his chin and said, "Tisk tisk, there are quite a lot of things prepared for us in front of us. I don't know which families contributed, and the Du family must be among them. Some things have lost their inheritance because of too long." In Su Chen's eyes, they are full of loopholes. Come. However, they prefer rough and simple methods, which have been tried and tested on the Void Beast battlefield. Patriarch Du, did they find something, on the other side? Someone worried when seeing Guyao and his party no longer moving forward. Patriarch Du said gloomily, unless they don't want to enter Yongxian Pagoda, it's impossible not to go forward. What else can they do to help Muyu that so much besides Yongxian Pagoda? That's good. At this moment, Guyao and Su Chen looked at each other and took out several Tianlizi and threw them forward. This day, Lazy Eye was obtained in Yukang City, but the power is not as powerful as Yang Huolei, so he kept it in the storage ring and did not use it. If this blows them up, then I'm sorry, they can only be unlucky themselves. Bang bang bang. There was a violent explosion in front of the Yongxian Pagoda, and the strong air wave set off, so that the martial artist who was a little closer was thrown away before he could escape, and screams were heard. When Guyao and Su Chen just threw the heavenly thunder sun, Qi Changjai and Liao Su showed pampering smiles, and then set up a protective cover to prevent them from being affected as well. The earth-shattering blast made the three Mu Wanyuan families turn pale with shock, but Guyao and the others did not step back, so they persisted in place, and then found that those strong air currents rushed in front of them, and they were covered by an invisible layer. The hood was able to block it, and they immediately let them breathe a sigh of relief. At this time, they were shocked. What the was Guyao and Su Chen throwing out just now, to actually cause such a big momentum? At the same time, I am even more fortunate that their decision to stand on the side of the shepherd's family has never been shaken, otherwise they will end up in the same fate as the Du family. The blasting stopped, Qi Changjai waved his sleeves and swept away the dust and smoke, exposing the entire scene. Guyao and the others dare to use Tianlizi because they have confidence in Yongxian Pagoda and the great formation in this secret place. Tianlizi alone is not enough to shake, so at this moment, in addition to the frontal blast and the affected families, the people, Yongxian Pagoda and the entire great array were not affected by the slightest bit. Some people who were far away and avoided in time were less affected by the special operations team, and their injuries were not serious. When they saw Guyao and the rest walking towards them step by step, they subconsciously stepped back. After retreating, they shouldn't listen to Du's stupid words, thinking that there is really a way to restrain these four people, but now they know that what they saw before was only what the other party wanted them to see, and in places they couldn't see, they would never be able to detect how deep the lake was. Senior, look, isn't that the old guy Du Sizhong? I'll go and capture him. Muyu pointed somewhere, then dodged over and lifted the person up. The other party was bombed to the point that only half of their lives were left. That's all, he also had a body protector on his body, otherwise he would be dead now. Poof, just as he was about to speak angrily, another mouthful of blood spurted out, and Patriarch Du's face was as grey as paper, and his breath was dying. Guyao and the others have never regarded Du family master as an opponent. At this moment, seeing his tragic state, Su Chen just looked at the mustard space in his hand with interest and said, "Take his mustard space and take a look. There is something good in it, doesn't it mean that the Du family has the longest inheritance?" Yes, Senior Su Muyu resolutely carried out Su Chen's order, reached out and wiped off the mustard seed space on Du family master's hand, handed it to Su Chen, and then searched his body to make sure that he was not on his body. What else is there to hide? When the lucky martial artist saw this situation, he turned around and ran away. Wouldn't it be okay if they didn't enter the Yongxian Pagoda? It would be miserable to be swept away by someone like the Du family head. Those people Guyao and the others ignored them. Although they had the idea of going to various families to take a look because they got the sword of slaying immortals, they didn't put it into action. But if the other party gives them this opportunity, don't blame them for being rude. Su Chen took the mustard seed space and probed into it, and instantly wiped off the breath left by Patriarch Du on it. Patriarch Du, who was attacked by the backlash, vomited blood again, and it seemed that the last breath was left. Patriarch Wan and Yun, the patriarch, has no sympathy for his current situation. One must know that Patriarch Du can only be more ruthless in dealing with other families. If he gets the chance, the two of them will be uprooted by the Du family. I didn't expect the Du family to have such a day. When they left the secret place, it was time to completely liquidate the Du family. The two patriarchs looked at each other with excitement in their eyes. Su Chen made a light huh, and turned his hand to take out something. It was a cauldron. Seeing this cauldron, Gu Yao's eyebrows suddenly became hot. Senior brother, let me see. This should be a pill stove, so it can be seen that you are destined. Su Chen sent it into Gu Yao's hands without giving up. As soon as the pill stove entered Gu Yao's hand, it burst into light, and flew into Gu Yao's sea of consciousness with a bang, and Gu Yao stayed where he was. Gu Yao's consciousness also followed, and he saw the pill furnace fly into his space, and then landed firmly in the pill pavilion. A large amount of immortal energy in the space was instilled into the pill furnace, making the light more and more bright, and it was impossible to see the situation of the pill furnace, but Gu Yao realized that this pill furnace and the pill pavilion space are one, and now it is back. Before he could check the specific situation of the pill furnace, something happened to his danshan. The pill book that had been in the palm of Xian Ying jumped out from the danshan immediately after the pill furnace, which surprised Gu Yao. However, he did not move to control the situation, but watched helplessly as the book of pills jumped into the space, and then turned into a ball of light and plunged into the pill furnace. The pill furnace suddenly made a hum sound, and a storm of immortal energy was set off in the space. Gu Yao's consciousness was ejected, and there was no way to know what changes happened in the space. Gu Yao had to back out, with a look of shock still on his face, seeing Qi Changjai standing beside him, and then looking at Su Chen and Liao Su, and said, "I can't go in now, Dan Shu, Dan Shu." The pavilion and the pill furnace seem to be one body. Although I can't get in, I think it should be a good thing. That's good. Only then did Qi Changjai feel relieved. Su Chen said with emotion, as expected, what is yours should be yours, and others can't take it if they want to. Mu Yu and the others also understood that the pill furnace should belong to Gu Yao, and now it should be returned to the original owner. Otherwise, in the Du family for so many years, have you seen the Du family make use of it? Du family master has been calculating for a lifetime, but he did not expect that the town clan Dan furnace brought in would fulfill Gu Yao. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 684. To others, Mu Yu was also rude, and wiped away the mustard seed space on the bodies of those who were killed and severely injured and could not escape. Gu Yao and the others didn't want them, so he stayed by himself. When the Wan family and Yun family saw this situation, of course they couldn't be left behind, otherwise, are they stupid? Mu Yu and the Mu family have given all the money away? The Du family head was completely stunned, and several members of the Du family fled with injuries. Even their head of the family could not take care of them. Mu Yu looked at their accusing and angry eyes as nothing. If the current situation is reversed, can the Du family let them go? Let's go. Qi Changjai didn't care about their life or death, and took Gu Yao straight through this place and walked towards the gate of Yongxian Pagoda. Elder Mu explained to the four of Gu Yao, in Yongxian Pagoda, you must pass the levels one by one, and after passing the first level, you can enter the second floor of Yongxian Pagoda, and after passing the level, Yongxian Pagoda will give rewards. It's just said that on the UN continent today, there are fewer and fewer levels to pass, and it is a very good achievement to pass at most 3 levels. After entering the tower, everyone will spread out. You can only meet after you have successfully passed the level, so everyone should be careful, and you should be careful too. The Patriarch Elder Mu finally told Mu Yu one more thing, don't rush in. He is getting more and more clearly realized that now the shepherd's family is inseparable from Wu. Don't worry, Great Elder, I will be careful, Mu Yu nodded. Everyone cherishes each other, Gu Yao nodded to everyone. Mu Yu took out the token, and the restriction on the door was opened. When they entered, the restriction was restored, as did the Wan family and the Yun family. Operate. As soon as he entered the tower, the scenery in front of him changed. Gu Yao found that he was in a mountain forest and heard the roar of a wild beast. He couldn't help raising his eyebrows. It should be a huge and realistic illusion, including those beasts, but if you are careless and die at the hands of the beasts, you may really die. The immortal energy here is much purer than outside the tower, and there is an illusion that it is like returning to the immortal world, but the immortal energy is still much thinner than the immortal world. After all, it has been running for so long. Gu Yao took off without hesitation and flew out, looking for a way out as soon as possible, without wasting time here. Those beasts, no, they should be called fairy beasts, and they jumped out to block Gu Yao's way. Gu Yao rudely called out "Mou" and beat all the blockers out, so they kept staying on the road. Pop sound. The strength of these immortal beasts is actually very weak. Going down the road, Gu Yao found that the most powerful ones have not even reached the human level of the immortal world, and they are still at the ordinary level, and the immortal energy and consciousness that he can use now, the strength is equivalent to the earth immortal, so it didn't take long at all. He rushed all the way to the front of a black hole, and he plunged into it. The scene changed again. He appeared in a hall, and Li Su and Qi Changjai were already waiting there. Seeing Gu Yao appear, Lu Su said, "In the end, Xiao Yao is much stronger than Chen Chen, and Chen Chen is behind." "Master, don't worry, senior brother will come out soon, this level is not difficult." Gu Yao walked to Qi Changjai's side and smiled. He also had a box in his hand, which was dropped when he came out of the black hole, but he didn't rush to open it and threw it into the storage ring. Just as he was talking, when he heard an ouch, Su Chen jumped out, looking behind him, and shouted, "I'm about to come out, and there are more than a dozen monsters behind me, and they actually want to drag me back." With a soft smile, it is not surprising that anything strange happened to Chen Chen. "Let's move on to the next level, just leave a signal to Mu Yu and the others," Gu Yao suggested. "I agree." Liao Su also felt that there was no need to waste time here. Their goals were originally different. They wanted to go to the top of the tower to have a look. Only there might be something they wanted. Special operations team. "Let's go." Qi Changjai took it. At this time, outside the Yongxian Tower, martial artists appeared one after another. Some of them fled before, and some of them were neutral. They did not help each other. I was also shocked, and I was glad I didn't participate. They waited outside for a while before deciding to enter the Yongxian Pagoda. If they are lucky in the tower, the rewards they get may directly allow them to rush to the top martial masters of the heaven level, or it may be a mental method that has been lost outside. Or a magical weapon. If you are lucky, you can directly take a family to fly. When they were fighting against the monsters on the bottom floor, the four Gu Yao were all the way through, stepping on the first 4 floors under their feet in a very short period of time, and when they entered the 5th floor, their attitudes became a little more serious. Because the fantasy world set up here is actually a demon world. As soon as they came in, more than a dozen human-level monsters rushed towards them. Gu Yao simply put away the ink jade and slammed his fist at the beast. He used the attack method used by the giants in the stone tablet that obtained the Vulcan body forging method. The fist wind was full of fire and was attacked. The monster who arrived screamed, and the anger was instilled into the body of the monster. In the blink of an eye, the monster fell to the ground and died. The magic energy here has a restraining effect on the use of immortal energy, but the Vulcan body forging method is not affected, but these monsters need more time to solve, so the time to stay in the 5th level is a little longer, and finally, Gu Yao was still the 3rd one to successfully pass the level. This time, they waited longer for Su Chen. When Su Chen came out, he scolded again, "Damn it, I almost fell into a magic pool, the ghost knows what is in there, I just burned it up. Seeing that his consumption was larger than before, he suggested, let's take a break, how many levels will we continue to pass? Okay, Chi change, I said concisely. In the sixth pass, the starry sky and star beasts appeared in the illusion. The strength of the star beasts reached the earth level. Although it is possible to use the power of immortal energy to fight the star beasts to avoid the danger in the starry sky, but because of the increased difficulty, this time I used it. The fifth level is 3 times as long. After leaving the customs, Guyao didn't communicate with Chi Change for the first time, and firstly took the medicinal herbs to adjust the breath on the spot. When he finished adjusting his breath, he saw Su looking at the exit of the fifth level worriedly, because Su Chen hadn't come out yet, so Su was worried about an accident. While waiting, Guyao and Chi Change discussed, before, it was earth level difficulty. Will the 7th level be heaven level? The 8th level is the profound level? The 9th level? Hiss. Guyao has a toothache. If this is the case, even if their strength is fully recovered, they will not be able to break through. Then they can still reach the top of the tower. Chi Change thought about it and said, maybe not necessarily, the seniors who set up these levels should know that the environment here is greatly restricted. Their strength, it is too difficult to have Xian level and Emperor level strength, they may not set a level that no one is destined to pass. Su Shui agreed, I agree with Chang Ye's speculation, maybe the above situation may not be as difficult as we imagined. Xiaoao, wait for the next level, let Chen Chen follow you. Okay, just follow me. Guyao understood what Su meant was to let Su Chen enter his space. After waiting for a while, Su Chen finally came out, but this time he was in a lot of embarrassment. Fortunately, because the storage ring can be used, he spent some fairy talismans and Yang Huolei and other things. Quickly adjust your breath when you speak. After the breath adjustment was completed, after listening to Su's opinion, he agreed without saying a word, otherwise he would be a drag, and there was no need to force himself. The key for them now is not to exercise their own strength, but to find a way back. Everything has to make way for this purpose. After getting enough rest, the four set off again and entered the next level. Guyao quietly waited for the scene to change, guessing what was his turn this time. Every time he was inseparable from the immortal demon realm, there was no need to prove where the original group of people came from. But the result was different from what he thought. He fell into a mass of darkness. Immortal energy could be used, but spiritual consciousness could not be stretched out of the body. Guyao was startled at first, but quickly regained his composure. No matter what he was about to face, he would go all out. A transformed heaven-level void beast core slipped silently into his hands and could be detonated at a critical moment. Su Chen in the space was also paying attention to the situation outside, but what caught his eye was darkness, and asked worriedly, what's going on? Is it because I can't see the situation outside, or? I saw the same thing as senior brother. Senior brother, you and Zai are ready. We just wait patiently. While responding to Su Chen, Guyao chose a direction to walk down unhurriedly, looking relaxed, but in fact his whole body entered a state of high alert, and maximized his body's perception. 1 hour, 2 hours. Time has been slowed down infinitely, and 1 day has passed, but the surrounding situation has not changed at all, as if there is no end in this darkness, giving people a sense of desolation and despair. Guyao stood still, and communicated with Su Chen in his mind, I guess there is no way to go to the end. In this case, it is better to wait on the spot. No matter what ghosts and snakes there are, I think there will always be a moment to show up. That's right, Su Chen agreed. Let's see what's going on here. This kind of situation is nothing more than to attack people's minds. Once they are uneasy and affected by the dead silence in the dark, it may be time for the other party to take advantage of the emptiness. Not to mention that Guyao was originally determined, and besides, he was not alone, and Su Chen was with him in the space. Therefore, Guyao sat down on the spot, closed his eyes, and looked like he was cultivating in meditation. As for Qi Changjai and Liao Su, Guyao had great confidence in them, and Qi Changjai had the sword spirit of slaughtering immortal sword beside him, so he might be able to help. 1 day, 2 days. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 685. Guyao knew very well how long he had spent in the fantasy world, but if he changed someone, he might feel that 1 month, 2 months, or even a year or two had passed, and there were endless barren years waiting for him. Suddenly, a thick black mist rose in the darkness around him. Su Chen in the space stared at the outside without blinking. When he saw the strange black mist, he immediately reported to Guyao. Guyao sneered in his heart. Let him wait for these few days in vain, what he wants to do is who will lose patience first. It is difficult to tell the difference between darkness and black mist, not to mention that the consciousness is bound and cannot be separated from the body, so the black mist uses this advantage to continuously approach Guyao, until finally, the black mist wraps the entire Guyao who is sitting there. Guyao struggled a few times and then stopped moving. At this moment, the black mist rushed towards his sea of consciousness with a grey light ball wrapped in it. As soon as he entered the sea of consciousness, the grey light ball was pulled into another dimension by an irresistible force before it had time to get excited. The cub, who had been waiting here for a long time, swallowed the grey light ball in one bite. Let go of me. Black nightmare? How can there be a black nightmare? Let go of me, I'll tell you everything you want to know. Let go of me, only I know how to get out of this hellish place, I swear, I will never offend your excellency again. But no matter how hard the light group struggled, the cub didn't respond, but chewed and digested the light group, and the grey light group weakened visibly to the naked eye, until the last scream and completely disappeared from this world. After the light group completely disappeared, Guyao found that he was already in the hall on the 7th floor. That is to say, the test on the 7th floor, because of the demise of the grey soul, has been self-defeating? In a blink of an eye, he saw Qi Changjai and Liao Su. The two, like Guyao, found a place to sit cross-legged. When the darkness disappeared, they stood up and were ready to take action. The moment they saw Guyao, relax. What's going on? Qi Changjai and Lu Su said at the same time, and the two realized that the release of the dark space should be related to Guyao. While accepting the message from the cub, Guyao said, I encountered a remnant soul and wanted to take the house, but I just found the wrong person to take the house. After Su Su couldn't help but smile, he did find the wrong person to take the house. None of the three of them is so easy to take the house. His red lotus karmic fire will be dissipated when it collides, but the black nightmare in Guyao's place a beast, it's not going to end well when it encounters it, and it can also use the memory of the remnant soul in turn. Guyao let Su Chen out because he could make sure there was no danger. He said, let's go upstairs and talk while walking. There are no more entrances and exits to the black hole. This time they stepped on the stairs, and Guyao also told them the initial information received. The remnant soul who wants to seize the house is the last soul left here, and the other souls have been destroyed. He devoured it one after another to strengthen himself, and not die over time. Because every time the secret place is opened, the incoming warriors are getting weaker and weaker, and these souls can't wait any longer, so they start to devour each other. The memory of the remnant souls is also a little chaotic because of this devotion. The biggest obsession is to seize people who can get here. Of the 3 people who came in, on the surface, I was the easiest one to take, so he chose me. Qi Changjai hooked his lips into a smile, while Su Chen sneered unceremoniously. Of course, he was laughing at the remnant soul that had already lost his soul. His eyesight was too bad. Fortunately, he entered Guyao's space, otherwise it would be his turn. Of course, he is not so easy to take home, when his red lotus karmic fire does not exist. They also expected this situation. Those who were originally exiled here were not good-natured. For example, the former owner of Slaughter Immortal Sword must not have expectations for such a person, especially after experiencing the inability to leave this place and return to the immortal demon realm. After the despair, will they really be kind to those who come in? Taking a house is a situation they imagined would happen. When in the dark, Guyao knew it was coming. As we guessed, there are no more levels behind. They built a large formation and this Yongxian pagoda, and there are no materials available on them, so there are no test levels on the upper 2 floors. We are the first batch to come in over the years. The other party thinks that we are of the same kind as them. In other words, the remnant souls thought they were also exiled, to which, Guyao can only say sorry, they are really not the same kind. As Guyao explained various situations to them, he walked through the 8th floor and went up to the 9th floor. The 8th floor is empty, but the 9th floor is not so. There is a huge formation in the center of the ground, and a shelf is placed on one side. On the shelf are some jade slip books and storage rings. Needless to say, what those people left behind, in the memory of the remnant soul. The souls here are unwilling to stay in this God's punishment space, and have been obsessed with finding a way back, so after death, their belongings are left here. As for the remaining part of the monks, because they saw less and less hope and no longer looked forward to this Yongxian pagoda, they left here, established cities, married wives and had children, opened branches and scattered leaves, and did not get the Yongxian pagoda before they died. There was good news, so I didn't return to the Yongxian tower. The digested information made Guyao not know what to say, and his resentment towards the remnant soul was also reduced a lot without their obsession. The soul did not give up until death and even after death, and continued to find a way out. There would be no Yongxian pagoda and the huge formation built on the 9th floor. Maybe the 4 of them would be completely trapped here. The God punishment space is easy to get in, but difficult to get out. Their cultivation base is much weaker than the people who came in at the beginning. At the beginning, among those monks, there were people who had reached the peak of formation, otherwise it would not be possible to use the existing conditions of Tianyuan continent to arrange a place like a secret place and leave the formation of the 9th floor. The 4 of them stayed on the 9th floor, looking at the items left by the monks while letting Guyao continue to absorb and digest the memories of the remnant souls. It is not a small project to sort out useful things from the chaotic memories. There is a situation that makes them a little surprised, that is, the remnant soul can only stay on the 7th to 9th floor, and can't go below the 7th floor, otherwise they don't have to wait for the 4 Guyao to come to take the house. This should be Yongxian. The array of towers gives restrictions. So, that senior formation master had some bottom line in his heart back then, otherwise it would not be difficult to seize the house, and such restrictions kept him above the 7th floor. Guyao speculated. Look, there are key clues in this jade slip, Su Chen exclaimed. Liao Su hurried over, took the jade slip and looked at it, and after reading it, he couldn't help feeling, Xiaoao, you guessed right, this jade slip was left by the senior formation master, and he hadn't studied it before his physical death. He didn't give up after he came out, only the soul was left, but after researching it, he couldn't achieve it, so he left the method here. Su Chen continued, no wonder those souls are going crazy. It is estimated that when they devour each other, the first one to be swallowed is the formation master. Bar. It is not known what the situation was at the beginning, only that this unnamed senior formation master has indeed pointed out the way for them to return, which makes people feel embarrassed. The formation master finally left a message. If future generations come here to see the jade slip he left behind, he hopes to leave a ray of life for this continent. Because of the initial establishment of the Great Formation, in addition to relying on the power of the stars and the immortal stones and magic stones on them, It was to extract the vitality of this continent, and the final result was the depletion of the vitality of the continent. When future generations rely on the method he left behind to leave the gods' punishment space, I hope to remove this formation, so that the vitality can return to the mainland, and the cultivation level of the practitioners on the mainland will continue to improve. Maybe in the future, they can go to the ferry through a legitimate way demon world. According to the instructions of the senior formation master, the four found the control hub of the entire large formation, and the situation in the Yongxian Pagoda, including the entire secret place, was presented in front of them. They saw a lot of family martial artists fighting in the first floor illusion. Some of them had successfully passed the level. They were resting in the hall on the first floor and were about to enter the second floor. 3 Mu Wanyun came in with them. The family is already on the second floor, and Mu Yu, the youngest, is also fighting in the second stage. His performance is no worse than some mid-level martial masters. The four of them did not interfere with their training. It was only by their own efforts that they could reap the rewards. One time was enough. They can now go to any place in the secret place through the central hub, but the good things were obtained by them when they were exploring before, and the remaining Yuanzi and rare items are left to the warriors on this continent. In comparison, what was left over from the 9th floor was more suitable for them. Those books on jade slips are the lifetime income of the last batch of monks. There are alchemy techniques, the inheritance of the formation techniques left by the formation masters, and those left by the utensil masters. Otherwise, the eternal immortal pagoda cannot be built, and there are precious cultivation techniques are available in the fairy world. It is conceivable that if these things are made public in the fairy world, it will cause a great sensation. The four of them looked at these things with relish, and at the same time, they were gradually mastering the methods described by the predecessors of the array masters, so as to avoid mistakes when they were actually operated. In the hall on the second floor, Mu Yu finally came out of the illusion. He was very embarrassed. He relied on his tenacious will to support him until the end, but he also knew that the medicine pills Gu Yao and Su Chen left him were also very important. Coupled with the swordsmanship trained by Qi Changjai, he can come out. Before meeting these four seniors, he would not dare to imagine the situation today. Relying on the medicinal pills that heal wounds and replenish Yuan Li, Mu Yu's physical condition is constantly improving, and the depleted Yuan Li is filling up again. When he opened his eyes and saw the great elder guarding him, he immediately congratulated him. Congratulations to the patriarch, he is already a mid-level heavenly rank martial artist. Teacher. Tong 11, the first elder has also grown a lot. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 686. Half a year passed in a blink of an eye, and the people who were still alive in the secret place left Yongxian Pagoda and rushed to the exit. In the last time in the secret place, there was also a battle between the various families. In addition to the people who died in Qi Changjai and their hands, less than half of them survived. The worst was the Du family, except for the two who hid early. Martial Master, the rest are buried in the secret place, and the token belonging to the Du family has also changed its owner. The loss of the Zhou family and the Zheng family was not small. In order to avoid the ending of the Du family, the two families had to join forces. After all, they saved some of their strength and could only make plans after leaving the secret place. At the exit, everyone saw that only Mu Yu and the three elders appeared in the Mu family, but they did not see Gu Yao and the other four. Here, so what about the four? Although Mu Yu only has 4 people, everyone can see the growth of Mu Yu's strength. Maybe he will become a high-level martial artist in the near future. Even the aura on Mu Yu's body is much deeper than before he came in. It can be seen that also growing a lot. Although the Mu family had a small number of people, they couldn't criticize him for that blast, because the Wan family and the Yun family obviously protected Mu Yu and the others, and their clansmen had grown considerably. Patriarch Mu, do you know where Alchemist Gu and the others are now? Someone asked, unable to restrain himself. Mu Yu looked back in the direction of Yongxian Pagoda, and was very reluctant to part, but he knew from the beginning that the four seniors did not belong here, and they only stayed in Tianyuan continent for a short time. Withdrew his eyes and said lightly, seniors naturally go where they should go, don't worry about it, let's go out now. So angry, but even the Du family has been killed, what else can they do? They don't have to wait to leave the secret place, they can think of the fate of the Du family, so they are prepared in their hearts. Once they go back, they will gather people to divide up the Du family's property as quickly as possible, and it is best to grab the Du family. Alchemy. Each family has a small abacus in their hearts, take out the token and open an exit to leave the secret place. There were people outside to meet them, and most of them left immediately after meeting with the family. On the way, they couldn't wait to explain what happened in the secret place, and no one cared about the mood of the people in the Du family outside. The two survivors of the Du family in the secret land came out at the last moment, and everyone didn't have the heart to deal with them, so they couldn't make any waves. But the Du family who were responding outside, looked left and right, and found that only two people came out, exclaiming, "Where is the head of the house? Where are the elders and the others? Dead, all dead, even we almost didn't come out," the two martial artists cried out in collapse. "What? Who did it? Who dares to attack my Du family?" The Du family was furious. It was Mu Yu and the others. It was Mu Yu who colluded with outsiders to kill the head of the family. The two martial artists pointed their finger at Mu Yu and the Mu family. Even the Mu family members who came to pick up Mu Yu were shocked by these words, and looked at Mu Yu and Elder Mu in disbelief. Before waiting for the Du family to take any action, Patriarch Wan sneered and said with disdain, "Do you really think that the Du family is still the Du family in the past? If I were you, I would take advantage of the fact that other families have not yet done so, as soon as possible. Now that the property has been transferred, what else can your Du family use to threaten others? Yuandanshu is just a sin for you, and how many families are staring at it with jealousy? The Du family is in chaos, and some people are used to being arrogant, but they don't think the Du family will fall into the situation that Patriarch Wan said. It will be too late when other families do it." In the end, those who advocated going back had the upper hand, and the other clansmen had to retreat, otherwise, they would not be enough to be slaughtered by the elder shepherd. They all left, and the rest was quiet. Mu Wanyun's three clansmen came over to ask what was going on, and none of the three patriarchs wanted to leave, so they all stayed where they were, especially Mu Yu, who always looking at the direction of the secret place, it seems to be waiting for something. Elder Mu arranged for someone to go back to report the letter. Yongxian City will definitely be in chaos. With the leadership of old ancestor Mu, they will definitely be able to share certain benefits. The rest will be discussed after the family head returns. The same is true for the Wan family and the Yun family. Although the head of the family is here, there is no need to give up this part of the interests on the family side. After all, the Du family has accumulated so many years, and it is conceivable that there is so much wealth and industry. Wan Yufeng and Yun Yinshan had never been able to talk to Mu Yu before, but now they can finally. The first thing they cared about was the four seniors. Why didn't they show up? They also believe that the four seniors are unpredictable, and others may be unpredictable in it, but they will definitely survive. Only then did Mu Yu tell the truth, "Senior and they are going back, the seniors will teach us a lesson, and we will stay here to send 1 to 4 seniors." Wan Yufeng and Yun Yinshan were shocked. How could this happen? They thought that they could go to the garden to accept the training of their seniors as before. Although they suffered a lot, everyone could see the improvement in their strength. Then, will the seniors come back? He asked impatiently. Mu Yu shook his head and didn't speak, whether he said he would not come back or he didn't know, even he himself didn't know the answer. They waited outside for 10 days, and the situation in Yongxian City was transmitted here from time to time. The fearful clansmen, because they were too greedy, wanted to take everything with them, so even if they escaped from the city, they would soon be targeted by other forces, and in the end they would end up losing both people and money. There are also wiser ones, who simply bring part of the industry to join other powerful families, so that they can at least survive. Mu Yu and the others never came back. They were not noticed at first. After the fight reached a certain level, they found out. They all turned their attention to them, wondering if the 4 mysterious masters were still in the secret place. Mu Yu and his party were waiting. Meet them there. As for how does it come out without the token? Maybe the mysterious master has another way. So after the battle, some people were sent over to watch the movements of Mu Wanyun's 3 families. In the Yongxian Pagoda, the 4 Guyao followed the instructions left by the senior formation master, and after all the preparations were done, the last step was left to activate the formation. It's time to start. After checking it again, Guyao said. After the virtual manipulation of the control hub, the operation of the secret formation was stopped, and the treasures and magic treasures used for the formation were taken back one by one. The 3 of Guyao filled these things into the formation in front of them one by one. And activate the array. Hundreds of thousands of high-grade immortal stones were put into it, and they were quickly turned into powder, and the immortal energy was evacuated. The heaven and earth treasures and magic treasures used for the formation in the secret area were all of the highest quality, but they were quickly turned around. Great turn and crushing, this is called Guyao and Su Chen's heartache. Let's not talk about immortal stones, those treasures are worth more than hundreds of thousands of high-grade immortal stones, even hundreds of thousands of top-grade immortal stones can't be exchanged. Let's go. Outside the secret place, Mu Yu and the others, who were always looking in the direction of the secret place, stood up abruptly at the moment when the secret place appeared again. Others were shocked. What's going on? How did the secret place show up again? This is the secret place? The environment in the secret place is really good. This is someone who has never entered the secret place. Patriarch, there is vitality, and the vitality of the secret place has leaked out. Anyone who has entered the secret place can feel the strong vitality that blows in the face, which is only a situation in the secret place. Mu Yu immediately ordered, from now on, the secret will no longer exist, we will go in now. When Mu Yu finished giving the order, she was the first to sweep forward. The restriction that was in front of them was no longer effective. People who had doubts before saw Mu Yu coming straight in, and they all came to their senses. He quickly followed, and there was no doubt at this moment that all these changes were caused by the 4 mysterious masters. Compared with dividing up the interests of the Du family, the value of the secret land is clearly greater at this moment. Although it has just been plowed by various families for half a year, the rest is far more precious than the Du family's treasury. The mysterious secret place was completely exposed in the eyes of everyone, and the people who came to follow them quickly reported the situation back in shock. The various families were fighting to divide the interests of the Du family. As soon as the news of his appearance in the secret place came back, everyone stopped fighting and rushed to the secret place. And it's not just the families who came here. All the warriors in Yongxian City who got the news are here. When the news spreads further, the warriors outside Yongxian City will also come over, and there will be more chaos waiting for everyone. But Mu Yu didn't care about this. He flew directly to Yongxian Pagoda. Wan Yufeng and Yun Yinchen followed closely behind him. At this moment, he also understood that everything was related to Guyao and them, and he might be able to catch up with them for the last time. But before they reached the Yongxian Pagoda, they saw a dazzling beam of light burst from the tower, and the sharp sword of the beam of light plunged straight into the sky. The 3 suddenly stopped and looked up. The Mu family and Wang Jiayun family, who were one step behind, also saw this spectacle and stopped to watch. The same is true in Yongxian City. Even ordinary people walked out of their homes, not knowing what happened, but such a spectacle was enough for them to blow cows for a long time. At the same time, the four of Guyao disappeared into the formation on the 9th floor of Yongxian Tower, and there was no trace of them in Tianyuan continent. Those families who came over also guessed what happened in the Yongxian Pagoda. Needless to say, everything was related to the four Guyao. Before, they couldn't figure out where these four mysterious masters came from. Now they recall the accumulated dust in the clan. It is impossible to speculate where the books of they came from that mysterious place outside the sky, a place richer and more advanced than Tianyuan continent. Many families regret that they didn't get in touch sooner. Maybe if something leaked from their fingers, they could take their family to a higher level, but they can't take it anymore. There are still many good things in the secret place. When? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 687. Void City, Xianwu Hall. Two teams met in Xianwutang. One was the Zhenlei team where Lu Peng was, and the other was the beast slaughtering team that Su Chuan pulled up after Guyao and the others left. Lu Peng and Zhenlei's squad knew about the other four members of Guka's team missing on the Void Beast battlefield. They learned that Su Chuan was the only one to stay. They had persuaded Su Chuan to join Zhenlei's squad, and it was good for each other. There is a care. However, Su Chuan refused, and chose to set up a team by himself, while killing beasts to cultivate, while waiting for Guyao and the others to return. At the beginning, the incident spread in a small area, but it was replaced by other topics after a while, because there were too many accidents on the battlefield, and people were dying every day, so the four monks of Guka's team said something nice. It was a disappearance, but no one knew that it was impossible to come back. What are the four dead people to talk about? It was Huju and the others. As time went by, their confidence in their hearts also shook, because in such a situation, the chance of surviving was really too small. While waiting, even if his strength improved, he never thought of leaving Void City. He took root here, and his beast slaughtering team gradually became famous. Of course, this is also because Huju and the others are taking care of him. After all, the actions of the four Guyao at the beginning were undoubtedly a life-saving grace for them. Without Guyao and the others throwing Huju out, they could not have waited until Immortal Emperor Yu Heng. After the arrival and rescue of Immortal Emperor Kang, the four Guyao entrusted Su Chuan to them, and they could not lose this promise. If it wasn't for Su Chuan's unwillingness, Huju and the others would have preferred to shelter Su Chuan under his wings, but Su Chuan's approach was also appreciated by them. After all, relying on others can only be temporary, and only when you become stronger is the real confidence. Seeing Su Chuan, Lu Peng came to him. Su Chuan, are you ready to enter the battlefield again? Su Chuan nodded and said with a smile, yeah, after taking a long rest, it will rust if you stay any longer. Fit me. Lu Peng shook his head. You are trying too hard. Are you going to the third city or the second city this time? The members of Zhenlei's squad actually envy Su Chuan sometimes. As long as he leads the team, the beast-slaying squad can travel unimpeded in the second city. Other teams have no strength and want to take root there. The monks all know that there are experts behind the slaughtering team. Su Chuan thought about it and said, let's go back to the second city. The last time I went to the third city. Lu Peng understood why he chose these two cities. Are you still waiting for Danji Gu and the others to come back? It's been so many years, it's almost 100 years. Su Chuan smiled, it's only 100 years, even if it's 1,000 years, a few thousand years, I will wait for it. Let's talk when I come back. Okay, take care. Lu Peng clasped his fists with him, and he appreciated the loyalty, but Su Chuan also said that without Guyao and a few others, He couldn't survive. Su Chuan took people into the teleportation formation. He was not too expensive, and the team members he selected were all good in combat. Over the years, he gradually conquered the hearts of these people. Medium is less. The slaughtering team has its own station in Zhong'erchange. Based on this, the slaughtering team is much better than many teams. It is an old rule. Su Chuan asked the team members to go out to learn about the latest developments, and he went to see Hu Ju and others. People, you can go out of town after seeing them. As long as Hu Ju and the others are here, Su Chuan will meet him. Seeing Su Chuan, Hu Ju couldn't help but think of Gu Yao and the other four, but it was a pity that they never looked back, otherwise the Void Beast would definitely have their names on the battlefield. With Immortal Emperor Yu Hang present, Mei Sun will also enter and leave the battlefield. One of the purposes is to try and see if he can find his apprentice. Of course, he has not succeeded in these years. I don't know where they are. Mei Sun still has confidence in their safety, and there is a special feeling between master and apprentice. He can feel that his apprentice is still alive and well. It's easy to leave, I'm afraid to ask, it's hard to come back. Of course, there will be a lot of space outside the immortal realm. According to Mei Sun's knowledge, some top immortal emperors will leave the immortal realm to travel to other places, but Gu Yao and the others are immortals. How can space barriers be so easy to break through? Immortal Emperor Yu Hang persuaded, their luck has always been good, maybe they will encounter some opportunity when they leave this time, and they will make great progress in their cultivation when they come back. After the accident 100 years ago, Immortal Emperor Yu Hang and Immortal Emperor Kang would not do anything to the Void Beast on the bright side, but are they not allowed to do something secretly? Just like what the Void Beast did, so for the next 2 or 3 years, the Void Beast will be in the battlefield. Several old nests have been turned over by the monks, and among them are the credits of the transformed animal cores. These credits are all recorded in the credit book. The two were talking when Immortal Emperor Yu Hang suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. Immediately, Immortal Emperor Kang also appeared, and Mei Sun bowed respectfully. Immortal Emperor Kang, there is another cultivator who has encountered a large-scale void herd? This movement is not small, no, let's go and see. Immortal Emperor Yu Hang moved. This movement is indeed too big, the space is too big. The fluctuations are also a little unusual, just like the one 100 years ago. Immortal Emperor Kang was stunned. Immortal Emperor Yu Hang, do you still remember what happened 100 years ago? Because Immortal Emperor Kang did not understand the situation, he also felt that it was very difficult for the 4 monks to survive. But in the past it was just a thought, so I went along with it. The place they arrived is almost close to the territory of the Void Beast. The monks here will not easily arrive, because the enemy is strong and I am weak, but this time, I don't know what happened. Hundreds of Void Beasts surrounded them, like cats playing with mice, torturing them to the point of exhaustion before swallowing their prey. The fluctuation of the space above diverted most of the attention of the Void Beast, and also gave the few lost monks a chance to catch their breath. Immortal Emperor Yu Hang and Immortal Emperor Kang took a look and knew that someone was breaking the space behind them. The two of them shot together and tore a hole in the sky. The next moment, 4 cultivators rolled out. It's them. Immortal Emperor Kang was amazed and recognized at a glance that it was the 4 cultivators who disappeared 100 years ago, 2 of whom were still disciples of Master Meidan. Entering the beasts of the void, waved their sleeves and rolled them over. The Void Beast cried out, but in the blink of an eye, the 3 people who came retreated, and Immortal Emperor Yu Hang also took away a few monks who were trapped here. After a while, the cultivators were down to earth again, and there were no groups of Void Beasts around. It could be seen that they were saved, but they didn't know who was the one who rescued them from beginning to end. It must be the Immortal Emperor, either Immortal Emperor Yu Hang or Immortal Emperor Kang. Only they have the strength to freely enter and exit the Void Beast's lair. We are really saved. Several people hurriedly bowed in the air, expressing their gratitude. The four of Guyao were also dizzy. They used the formation in Yongxian Pagoda to gather a lot of power to break through the forbidden barrier of the god's punishment space. To avoid danger, they escaped into the space and found out from the space that they had returned. In the turbulent flow of space that I stayed in before, I worked hard to find all the locations in the fairyland. Fortunately, the cultivator has an excellent memory, and Chi Changjai and Liao Su have also made great progress in their understanding of the laws of space, so they can locate the space in the immortal world, but I didn't expect that if I found it, I can open the space barrier of the immortal world, but not so. It was an easy task, but at a critical time, help would come. The four of them guessed that someone was helping them outside, so they hurried out of the space. The timing is so precise. They were saved. After landing, the four of them looked at the three people in front of them. Needless to say, Immortal Emperor Yuhang had met each other. One person had a deeper breath than Immortal Emperor Yuhang, but he looked like an ordinary person. That could only be Xiu. In order to be deeper than Immortal Emperor Yuhang, so he could be so restrained, it is very likely that Immortal Emperor Kang Gu also sits on the Void Beast battlefield. Guyao recognized the remaining one at a glance. Although he hadn't met since he came to the immortal world, he had met him through the spiritual sense left by Mei Sun when he was in the spiritual world. This is his master. Unexpectedly, when I returned to the fairyland, I ran into my master. The younger generation has seen Immortal Emperor Kang Gu, Immortal Emperor Yuhan. Guyao finally looked at Mei Sun. Unfilial disciples have caused trouble for master. Su Chen also bowed to the two immortal emperors, and said respectfully to Mei Sun. Su Chen greeted the master, and all of the disciples' alchemy skills are learned from the inheritance left by the master. Su Chen used a gentle force to lift the two of them, and said to Su Chen with a smile, I feel something about you. Since you and Xiao are called brothers and sisters, you will be my eldest disciple in the future. Hey, the disciple has met the master. Su Chen happily went to the prostration again, and finally gave the title. Guyao saluted him, junior brother salutes senior brother. Haha, junior brother is polite, we will carry forward master's alchemy skills together in the future. After Chi Changjai and Su Xing bowed, they stood aside and watched their master and apprentice recognize each other. Immortal Emperor Yuhang and Immortal Emperor Kang Gu flashed smiles in their eyes, but Su Chen's happy little appearance did not look like it. I just got out of danger, and I just came back from playing outside. Okay, you all come to my palace to talk. Immortal Emperor Yuhang interrupted them. Yes, the four said respectfully again. Immortal Emperor Kang Gu also went to join in the fun. He was very curious about where these people went. Looking at their cultivation, compared to when they left 100 years ago, there is still a lot of progress, which shows that the small days have been very good. When asked where they had been in the past 100 years, the four Guyao looked at each other in surprise. They thought they had only left for more than a year, but they didn't expect that 100 years had passed. Time is also different in space turbulence. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 688. During this period of time, the four of them believed that there was no need to hide it. Mei Sun was the master of Guyao and Su Chen, and Immortal Emperor Yu Heng had been secretly protecting them. Uneasy. In addition to hiding the existence of the Pill Pavilion space, the four of them talked about the experience of falling into a different world. That place, traced back to history, is called the God's Punishment Space. You can see 1 or 2 in the jade slip. Guyao gave this jade slip to his master, and Mei Sun handed it over to Yu Heng, and finally fell into the hands of Kang Gu, Immortal Emperor. The three of them have read the contents recorded in it, and they are amazed. The three belong to the Kang Gu, Immortal Emperor, who are the most knowledgeable and know how many years they have lived. Place of space. Immortal Emperor Kang Gu has heard of such a place. Yu Heng's time in the immortal realm is still short, so he has never heard of it. Although Immortal Emperor Yu Heng lived for many years, he was very close to Immortal Emperor Kang and others. Then, also lived a fraction of them. Immortal Emperor Kang played with the jade slip and said, I have indeed heard of it. Moreover, this divine punishment space has a lot to do with our void beast battlefield. The four of Guyao looked at each other in dismay, not knowing that there was such a relationship, so it is not without reason that they would fall into Tianyuan continent. Immortal Emperor Yu Heng thought of some legends about the void beast battlefield. The void beast did not exist in the fairy world since ancient times, but was a later intruder. Now the huge enchantment guarding the entire battlefield has sacrificed several fairy demons. Only the strongest of the demon world can arrange it. Could it be that the legendary melee of the three realms caused the space barriers to break and made the void beasts come? So the monks who were locked in the god's punishment space were the ones who started the melee. Immortal Emperor Kang nodded, yes, just as Immortal Emperor Yu Heng you guessed, but after several seniors spent their whole lives to cultivate the barrier, they passed away, and this divine punishment space never appeared again. I have searched, but there is no result, so it seems that the four little friends have far-reaching luck. This is your opportunity, don't worry. I think the reason why the formation left by this formation master can break the ban outside the god's punishment space is also because its owner has passed away for too long, and the power of the ban is not as strong as before. Su Chen patted his chest, so it turns out, it seems that we are lucky, otherwise we won't be able to come back. And consciousness were imprisoned. After Qi Changjai and Liao Su confirmed the spatial coordinates there, they took the initiative to tell Immortal Emperor Kang, maybe Immortal Emperor Kang would be interested in taking a trip. After Immortal Emperor Kang left, Mei Sun took the four to his cave. After arriving in the immortal world, Guyao and Su Chen had never gotten along well with their master. It's the best chance for them to come back. Yu Heng also followed. Go. Seeing that Immortal Emperor Yu Heng used Mei Sun's portable cave as his own home, Guyao and Su Chen looked at each other and squinted. Did they misunderstand the relationship between Master and Immortal Emperor Yu Heng before? In fact, they are not good friends, probably more close. Soon the two of them looked away again and suppressed the curiosity in their hearts. The juniors should not bother about the elders, just stay and watch. Besides, Immortal Emperor Yu Heng took care of them everywhere. Indeed, it is quite in line with the identity of the elders. They just need to pay attention to the master, not to be bullied. Mei Sun didn't know the 9 twists and 18 twists in the hearts of his two apprentices. He also had mixed feelings about Qi Changjai and Liao Su. As soon as he met his apprentice, he gave him to apprentice's daughter-in-law. But Mei Sun also knew that the fate between them was forged in the spiritual world. I don't know how many hardships I have experienced along the way. How could he interfere as a master? It's just a little sad. Also a little picky. My teacher has never taught Xiao and the others good alchemy skills. Let's take this opportunity to go to the alchemy room to see how your alchemy skills are now. When Changya and Su are over, I'll leave it to Yu Heng to greet you. Okay, just look at their progress in this period of time. Immortal Emperor Yu Heng glanced at Qi Changjai and Liaoxu, who seemed to be a little nervous, and said with a smile, very understanding of the mood of the two at the moment. Mei Sun smiled at them and went to the pill room. Guyao and Su Chen immediately followed, and at this time, Qi Changjai and Liao Su were no longer considered. Anyway, no matter it is Master or Immortal Emperor Yu Heng, it will not be bad for them. If Immortal Emperor can train him personally, that is what many monks in the immortal demon realm can't ask for. Just like when they trained Mu Yu in Tianyuan continent, they did not look at Mu Yu. Your strength and combat power increase that so fast. Entering the pill room, Guyao and Su Chen thought of the harvest in the secret land of Yongxian City, and quickly took out a part of their filial piety to their master. Some top-quality treasures rich in the power of stars and the 5 elements are all available. Unbelievable, Some of them have been nurtured for hundreds of thousands of years. This. Mei Sun looked over with a smile. You guys have collected some good things. Master doesn't lack these things, you keep them for your own use. Master, Su Chen's attitude was almost flattering, and he did it very naturally. This is the heart of the disciple and the younger brother. If we didn't have Master's protection along the way, we would not know where we were going. Yes, Master, don't worry, my brother and I still have some left on us. Besides, we can't use these things yet. By the way, there is this. Some good things have been kept and never used. Guyao almost forgot about them, and quickly took out two. One was dead wood grass, and of course it was a clone. This time was enough time to make another clone of the main body, and he and Su Chen have taken dozens of drops of the source of wood, and the effect is very good. Mei Sun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As a master, he really took all the benefits of his apprentice. These two things are also priceless outside. Which cultivator did not treasure it by his side? Guyao recounted the origin of these two things. Mei Sun laughed. He didn't expect to encounter adventures in the process of escape. He had also heard of Yukong Cheng. The very important treasures in the secret realm were taken away. If those two families, especially the Yu family from the alchemy family, knew about it, I don't know what the regret would be. At the same time, I am proud in my heart. How can a master turn his head like him and receive such good filial piety from his disciples? By the way, Master, there is still one thing I don't know about the disciple. Why did Master keep the pill pavilion space in the spiritual world? This time, when I went to the God punishment space, the pill pavilion space has changed again. Guyao was very curious. Others can't reveal it, but it was left by the Master. He didn't believe that the Master would not know the details of the pill pavilion space. Mei Sun smiled and replied, actually, the answer to this question is the same as your brother. This treasure originally fell into your brother's hands, but in the end it's not that you are the master. I, like your brother, always lack so much. Give it a chance, it means that its real destination is you, Xiaoyao. At the beginning, Master also thought of a lot of ways to make the Dan Pavilion space recognize the Master, but there was something wrong. At that time, I guessed the fate between me and it. Master has no regrets, because I already got it from it. The best thing, since it can't be brought to the fairy world, it is better to stay in the spiritual world and wait for someone who is destined. After I came to the immortal realm, I came into contact with more things. I also guessed the origin of the pill pavilion. I thought it should be the innate spiritual treasure left by the ancient masters, but it is incomplete because of some changes. The real innate Lingbao, it should be able to produce spiritual wisdom. At this moment, a little boy with 3 heads and a body in Guyao Sea of knowledge said proudly, "Humph, it means that your master has some knowledge, he knows this. The origin of the spirit, so you want to know better about me? With me, you can become the best alchemist in the whole fairy world." Guyao couldn't help laughing. These 3-headed little brats were born after the 3-in-1 of the Dan Pavilion, the Dan Book and the Dan Stove. According to him, it turned out to be sleeping in the Dan Book, absorbing the immortal energy through the Dan Book. He recovered a little, and then he completely woke up in the 3-in-1 time, and then reluctantly recognized Guyao, the alchemist, as the master. In his words, Guyao's alchemy skills caught his eye so easily. Xiantian Lingbao, Su Chen repeated. Yes, innate spiritual treasures. Mei Sun explained to his apprentice. The magic treasures in the immortal world not only include the immortal artifacts you know, but above the top-level immortal artifacts, there are also spiritual treasures, which are divided into acquired spirits. The treasure and the innate spiritual treasure, but after several incidents, including the ancient war mentioned by the Kanggu Immortal Emperor, the number of spiritual treasures has become less and less, and the Immortal Emperor has an acquired spiritual treasure in his hands. It is worth showing off. Is Yu Heng, The magic weapon in his hand is only a top-level fairy weapon, so this spiritual treasure in Xiao's hand should not be revealed, otherwise it will be robbed by those emperor-level masters. However, Master didn't expect that the pill book would also be a part of Lingbao. You see, the fate between Master and Lingbao is indeed a little bit worse. Two of them fell into Master's hands, but there are only these two, but Master has no regrets. Well, because this spiritual treasure belongs to my disciple and did not fall into the hands of outsiders. Su Chen laughed. Yes, like Master, I didn't fall into my hands, but in my younger brother's hands. I'm not bad. Mei Sun was very happy. The two disciples' temperaments were very good, two apprentices he did not wrong. Mei Sun has no idea of exploring the current Lingbao, and only encourages Gu Yao to make good use of it. In the future, he will surpass his master, and then he and two apprentices will start to learn about alchemy. Before the advent of Fushendan, let him know, the accomplishments of the two disciples in alchemy are no longer behind him, but they are not lacking in cultivation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 689. The three masters and apprentices were all people who were very fond of alchemy techniques, so they couldn't stop learning from alchemy at the beginning, and it was not until a full month later that the door to the alchemy room was opened again. So during this period of time, Qi Changjai and Liao Su were taken by Immortal Emperor Yu Hang for training. The two were very powerful in Tianyuan continent, but when they came back, they enjoyed the treatment of Mu Yu. At first, Immortal Emperor Yu Hang pressed his cultivation base to the same level as them to fight against them. When the two got used to this rhythm, Immortal Emperor Yu Hang slowly raised his cultivation base, and from the perspective of Immortal Emperor, he raised his cultivation base from time to time. Click them. The soaring cultivation base in Tianyuan continent settled down a little bit, and the two gained very little. Immortal Emperor Yu Hang discovered when he first came back that the energy in the four people's bodies seemed to be overflowing. I heard that they had only stayed on Tianyuan continent for more than a year, but the growth of their cultivation was faster than that of 100 years of cultivation. To come quickly, such a rapid improvement, if not consolidated as soon as possible, will be detrimental to their later cultivation. In fact, the four of Gu Yao themselves knew what was going on. When Yongxian Pagoda finally entered the formation, most of the huge energy was used by the formation to split the ban on the divine punishment space, but a small part was also instilled into them. In the body, coupled with the vitality that had been cultivated for more than a year, the cultivation of the four sword. Come again, Immortal Emperor Yu Hang said with a blank expression, looking at Qi Changjai and He Su who had been knocked out by him. In fact, he was extremely satisfied. The fighting skills of these two were the best he had ever seen, and even he himself couldn't say he beat them when he was at the same level. Qi Changjai and Su Yu fought more and more bravely, with high fighting spirit, looked at each other, and attacked Immortal Emperor Yu Hang again. Immortal Emperor Yu Hang shot at the same time, only to hear a loud bang, and Immortal Emperor Yu Hang arranged the space collapsed, and Immortal Emperor Yu Hang's aura was rising steadily, and he waved his hand to stabilize this space. Yes, you go down and recover well. Many thanks to Immortal Emperor Yu Hang for his guidance, the two said respectfully, and they could see what was wrong. Immortal Emperor Yu Hang nodded. The two of them have good strength and talent. What is rare is that they can sink their hearts. They are not arrogant because they have achieved impressive achievements at this age, and they do not put others in their eyes. The younger generation he has seen a lot. Qi Changjai had just entered the training room to prepare for revitalization and recovery, and the Sword of Immortals ran out by himself, and the voice exploded in his mind, "Too weak, you are too weak. If you changed the previous master, you can kill the sword without moving a sword." That kid was hacked. Qi Changjai black line, knowing that the boy the sword spirit said was immortal Emperor Yu Heng, he would not let the sword spirit forcefully take the killing immortal sword back into his dantian, that senior. Besides, your previous master didn't change in one step. To be such a master as he was later, could he be so good at the age of immortal Emperor Yu Heng? What if your previous master was so powerful? Wasn't he beaten into the divine punishment space, and finally died? Qi Changjai's words are rude. You can't let this sword spirit go, otherwise you don't know what kind of things will happen. Between him and the sword spirit, he is the main sword spirit as a supplement, otherwise there is no need to subdue it. This sword spirit, the road he is going to walk has never been ignored. You. The three-headed sword spirit widened his eyes in disbelief. You kid is so mad at me, I want to see how you can handle it. The angry sword spirit decided to leave the master alone for a while, 10 years, no, 5 years, depending on how the master behaves, otherwise he will never forgive him. Qi Changjai was also a little angry at first, but then laughed. Jianling clearly had a three-headed body, but his tone was always old-fashioned, and his temper was almost like an urchin. However, if it needs to be adjusted, the child's temper will become worse and worse. Thinking of what Master Meisun said about Lingbao, could it be that the slaying immortal sword is not a top-level fairy weapon, but a kind of Lingbao? Or will Jiangziu's natal sword be special? Qi Changjai felt that his purple thunder sword would continue to grow for a while, and his spirituality would continue to increase. Sooner or later, a sword spirit would be born. Without the spirituality cultivated before, the sword spirit would not recover so quickly. When Qi Changjai and the virtual breath adjustment were completed, their cultivation bases also settled a lot, and the two knew the intentions of immortal Emperor Yu Heng. At this time, Gu Yao, Su Chen, and Mei Sun also came out of the pill room, and their auras also sank due to the continuous alchemy of pills. Precipitate. Mei Sun saw Void's situation at a glance. This is to prepare for the tribulation, then we will return to the Void City, and we must prepare something to overcome the calamity. Thank you Master Mei Liao Su called people according to Su Chen's seniority. Mei Sun waved his hand and spoke to immortal Emperor Yu Heng, then brought the four back to Void City, and went to Xian Wuotang to get a large amount of money. The share of the fusion pill and the improved beast core that was discussed at the beginning was only temporarily stored in the Xianwu Hall because Gu Yao and the others never showed up. After 100 years of accumulation, it is already a very considerable income. It is enough to make many monks and even Xianxian take action. Maybe even poorer immortal emperors, such as Yu Heng Immortal Emperor, rely on themselves to fight alone, and their net worth is estimated to be not ancient. Far too high. Xian Wuotang will not be greedy for this profit, otherwise if the news spreads, wouldn't it be a blow to the enthusiasm of the monks entering the Void Beast battlefield, so they will be extracted regularly and stored aside. When Mei Sun explained his intention, Elder Qin was very happy the proceeds were taken out and handed over to them. Elder Qin jokingly said, I have long wanted to meet Master Mei's apprentice, but now it's really extraordinary, and it's just 2 of them. If we can get one, we'll be satisfied. Now, whether it is the fusion pill or the nuclear explosion, reformed beast core, they are the best sellers in Xian Wuotang. As long as these 2 things are there, Xian Wuotang can ensure a steady stream of income. He also wants to strengthen and cooperate with the cooperation of Mei Sun and his apprentice. A lot of similar items have been launched, so that Xian Wuotang can also increase the investment of resources in the Void Beast battlefield. Where, Mei Sun said modestly, but the smile in her eyes couldn't hide it, they are still young and need more advice from their predecessors. Elder Qin, I will take them back first. Okay, come and walk around when you have time, Elder Qin said enthusiastically. The 4 of Gu Yao said goodbye to Elder Qin one by one, and left with Mei Sun. As soon as they left, the Xianwu Hall exploded. Even if 100 years have passed, the names of Fusion Pill and Detonation Nuclear are not small at all. Their makers have always been a secret to everyone. What did the interaction between Elder Qin and Pill Master Meisun explain? If their ears are not wrong, they are all related to the disciples of Dan Master Meisun. I have long heard that alchemist Meisun accepted his disciples. Although there have been various doubts before, alchemist Meisun has now admitted it separately. Is this still fake? Moreover, the cultivation of the two disciples is not bad, they are all immortals. No, just relying on the flickering pill and the nuclear explosion are enough for many Xianxian to have all kinds of envy, jealousy, and hatred for alchemist Meisun, which will push alchemist Meisun's reputation to a higher level. Such explosive news spread quickly in Void City, and at the same time, it is the large amount of income that is enviable. Although Xian Wutang did not reveal it, it is very impressive when you think about it. No matter what outsiders think, Gu Yao and Su Chen are very happy. The immortal stones on their bodies are almost exhausted on the Tianyuan continent. Just the immortal stones that were thrown into the formation at the end made their heartache bleed. There is a large amount of income, which not only fills the previous consumption, but also adds a lot. However, as soon as the immortal stones started, they went out to buy a lot of money. Because of the virtual need to cross the calamity, all kinds of necessary items must be prepared. I'm really envious. When will we be able to live a life that is not bad for immortal stones, and we can spend what we want? Hey, you are short of a master who does not lack immortal stones. If you worship a master like Mei Danchi, will you still lack your immortal stone envoy? That's not the case. I heard that these immortal stones were earned by the disciples of Pill Master Mei. The share of fusion pill and detonation core alone is enough for them to have immortal stones that can't be spent. Che, you really take it seriously. It's not that Danchi Mei thinks that his disciple is not famous, it's helping his disciple to become famous. I think, this purification pill was researched by Danchi Mei himself, but it is put to him. It's just on the head of the disciple, all because there is a good teacher. Who said that? You hid it in the Pill Master Meidan's room and saw it with your own eyes? There is no real evidence to stop talking nonsense. Oh, I seem to recognize these people, a cultivator called out when he saw the image of the four people. Real or fake? Of course it's true, not to mention other people, just the bald monk among the four, the famous red flame saber demon from Zhong City before, yes, and this one, he is a sword cultivator. When he first entered the second city, he had a fight with Ji Xianming from the Broken Soul Palace. The two sides were dead. Later, he and Hu Yuan and the others organized to go out to hunt the void beast. I heard that because of an accident, these people disappeared, but they reappeared unexpectedly. It turned out to be him. I've also heard of the red flame saber demon from Zhong Urchinj, as well as several monks who teamed up with Huju and the others. After all, the monks who can be admired by Huju and the others will definitely not be too bad. I'll just say, what's wrong with the disciples of alchemist Meisun? There are also those who say that these two alchemists have a good master. Why don't they say that they are obviously alchemists, and they even ran into the void beast battlefield to hunt the void beasts? How many alchemists can do this to the extent? Based on this alone, I will obey them. Just as everyone was discussing in full swing, Liao Su also started his mysterious robbery. At the same time, the news also spread to Zhong City, and the Huju people who heard the news stood up suddenly, their eyes bright, really back. Then let's go back to Void City. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 690. Su Chuan circled outside and returned to Zhong City. He was told by the people sent by Huju that the person he was waiting for had returned. Su Chuan was overjoyed and immediately brought people back to Void City. Captain, didn't we plan to stay here for half a year and a year? The team member asked. Su Chuan smiled and said, no, this time I'm going to see some friends. Before establishing the current beast slaughtering team, I was a member of Guka's team. The captain and the others are back. How can I be a member? Go see the captain. The members of the beast-slaying squad often heard Su Chuan mention the past of the Guka squad, and they also knew that they had disappeared on the battlefield. The captain often went in and out of the battlefield. One of the purposes was to wait for them. Everyone thought that Su Chuan could not accept their disappearance. The fact of Dao's death, I didn't expect that he really made him wait for people to come back, so what is there to say? Of course, I quickly packed my bags and went home. As soon as they stepped into the Void City, they heard overwhelming information about the situation of the Guka team, what Fusion Dan exploded and the direct disciple of Dan Master Mei Suan. All these news are more exciting than each other, are they all true? They immediately asked Su Chuan for confirmation, and Su Chuan smiled and said, "Of course it's true, I didn't say it before because it wasn't public yet. I witnessed the birth of Fushandan and nuclear explosion with my own eyes." Process. The team members gasped. I didn't expect them to be involved with such a legendary boss. Su Chuan was a member of the Guka team, and now he is the captain of the beast slaughtering team. So rounding up, they are actually members of the Guka team. Come on. Well, it must be, denial is absolutely not allowed. Hearing the comments and admiration of others, the members of the beast slaughter team stood up, with a proud look on their faces. Su Chuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Su Chuan took them back to their residence in Void City, which was the temporary cave that Gu Yao and the others rented. It has been rented by Su Chuan all these years, except for his room. They are all temporarily closed, waiting for them to come back one day to continue living in. As for the others, they live in the cave house next door rented by the team. Although the cost in Void City is quite high, the monks who often come and go in and out of the Void Beast battlefield do not lack this immortal stone. Even if they leave the Guka team, the current Su Chuan is very different from the original Su Chuan in Yukang City. It didn't take long for Huju to come over, because they knew the location and brought news about Gu Yao and them. Unfortunately, that guy is the Red Flame Saber Demon, and he will be robbed as soon as he comes back. It just so happened that we got the news that there is a monk in Void City who is crossing the Xian Demon Heavenly Tribulation. I think it is him Huju. According to the introduction, Ji Xianming, Luo Yuan, and others all showed envy. Lan Minggu asserted, in the 100 years since they left, there must have been other adventures, otherwise Su wouldn't have been able to cross the mysterious demon heavenly tribulation so quickly. Luo Yuan also had the same guess, and his tone was a bit sour. This kid is really good. When we were at the heaven level, he was still at the earth level, and when we were still at the heaven level, he was going to jump to the Xian level. Huju shook his head and said, to be honest, isn't that the case? Some people are born to be envied. I used to be like this. I didn't expect that one day I would be jealous of others. Tisk, Feng Shui turns around. I don't know how the ancient alchemist and the others are progressing. It's definitely not worse than us, Luo Yuan asserted. Well, let's not let people live. The members of the beast slaughtering team were shocked to hear that. Suan Mo, it only took 100 years to break through from the late Tian level to the Xian level. No wonder their captain Su Chuan always mentioned those people in a tone of voice. It is highly praised, but it is not only famous for Fushandan and nuclear explosion. The news of Liao Su, the former Red Flame Sword Demon breaking through the tribulation, has also spread inside and outside the Void City. There are countless admirers. Those who know his past all show sympathy to the witch who once wanted to bring him into the harem. Smile. In the past it was the witch who chased the Red Flame Sword Demon and made the latter have to escape from the demon realm. When the Red Flame Sword Demon officially advanced, it might be his turn to take the demon sword to kill the witch's lair. This time, Immortal Emperor Yu Heng and Alchemist Maixun protected the Dharma for them in an open and upright manner, and they were no longer secretive as they did last time. All the monks who have seen it know that this time is different from the past. In the past, maybe they were not allowed to show up in front of people to protect them, but now one of the 4 small groups has been promoted to Xian level strength, whether it is fairyland, whether it is the demon realm or the demon realm. It means that there is enough strength to board the big stage of these 3 realms and compete with the masters of all parties. The thunder tribulation crow was pounding for a few days before it finally dissipated. It was obviously a demon cultivator, but it absorbed the emptiness of the heaven and earth in the middle, but it became more and more sacred and inviolable. Immortal Emperor Yu Hang saw the emptiness that looked like this. Also quite interesting. He has seen a lot, and many of the Ascension cultivators are both Dao companions, but after coming to the immortal demon realm, due to various. The reason is that many Taoist couples have parted ways and went their separate ways, and few of them can persevere. However, Su Chen and Liao Su have also soared to the fairy world and the devil world respectively, and the chance of being able to meet again is too small. But neither of these 2 gave up, and they came together in a shorter time than others. No matter how much ordeals they experienced, it became a test of their relationship. When the rain from heaven and earth dissipated, Gu Yao and the others felt that since they came back, they couldn't stay with Master forever, they had to find another place to live. Upon hearing this, Mei Sun remembered, didn't you have a friend named Su Chuan at that time? He kept putting your hole in the hole? The mansion has been preserved, and I must have received the news of your return at this time. As for this disciple's friend, Mei Sun has also secretly taken care of him over the years, so knowing that he has kept the disciple's residence, he has a good impression of Su Chuan. Really? Then there's no need to find another place, it's just right there, and we should go meet them too. Master, then let's go there first, and then come to Master after we settle down. Mei Sun waved his hand, go, contact Master if you have anything. After saying goodbye to Master and Immortal Emperor Yu Hang, the 4 went straight to the original temporary cave, and had a good time with Su Chuan and others who had been waiting here for a while. After accepting everyone's congratulations, they went to retreat to advance the cultivation bases consolidated. However, the 4 Huju stayed behind. The 4 of them must be much older than Gu Yao and the others. Of course, they are still young heroes here. They have also made many friends over the years. The time they spent with Gu Yao 400 years ago was very short, but it left a deep imprint on their hearts. Although they also thought about it afterwards, the reason why the 4 of Gu Yao chose to stay by themselves and throw them out may be because they have treasures to protect their lives, but at a critical moment, many people will subconsciously choose to protect themselves, and put them around. The people who pushed them out, as long as they struggled for a while, they might not be able to wait for Immortal Emperor Yu Heng and Immortal Emperor Kang to arrive. And who can guarantee that they will survive when they enter the turbulent flow of space? What they chose at the beginning was what was most beneficial to everyone, so the 4 Huju and the 4 kept this friendship in their hearts, especially in the days when the 4 of Gu Yao did not come back. They thought they would never come back. Fortunately, all is well. Where did you guys go? Seeing your great progress in cultivation, this is an adventure, right? Huju asked with a wink while holding his chin. Not to mention the falsehood, they have all broken through to the Xian level. The other 3, Qi Changjai, advanced to the late stage of Tianxian, and always felt that he had an extremely dangerous aura. Before disappearing, Ji Xianming felt that he could still talk to Qi Changye will play against each other again, and now he asks himself that he is no longer his opponent. He has grown too fast, even though he has not stopped. Gu Yao and Su Chen are both in the middle stage of Tianxian, and like Qi Changjai, they are vaguely on the verge of breaking through. Obviously, they are both consciously controlling the progress and not in a hurry to break through. There is nothing to hide about the experience after leaving. Su Chen told them about the various experiences on Tianyuan continent. Hearing Hujushi and Su Chuan, they were surprised. I didn't expect that there is such a place as a monk in the fairy world of exile. Huju was sighed and said again, I have to say, Your luck is really good, you have fallen into the turbulent flow of space, and ye coincidentally ran into a space crack and let you hide in the space of Tianyuan continent, otherwise the longer you stay in the turbulent space, the more disadvantageous it will be. Since that place is called the God punishment space, it means that it is not so easy to get out of it, but after you have stayed for more than a year. Lan Minggu solemnly echoed, yes, good luck. Luo Yuan laughed, okay, let's not envy them, we also have our chance, how many monks out there envy us? The return of Guka's team has attracted the attention of various forces and monks inside and outside Void City. However, they found that these people seemed to be quiet except for their interactions with Huju and others. In addition to retreating, Guyao and Su Chen were not in a hurry to go to the battlefield, but went to Master's side to receive Master's teaching. At the same time, they integrated what they have learned over the years, and they are not in a hurry to cultivate. To improve the cultivation base, it is to condense the power of immortal essence, and truly command it like an arm. Qi Changjai continued to hone his swordsmanship, and there was another task, which was to train the sword spirit of slaughtering immortal sword. Sword spirit has never communicated with him anymore, Qi Changjai just pretended that he didn't exist, and only deepened the connection with killing immortal sword, because a part of killing immortal sword is composed of purple thunder sword embryo, so this step is not for others. Said it would take a lot of time, but it was much easier with him. Su Chuan also calmed down and digested the accumulation of these years. With the medicinal pills provided by Guyao and Su Chen, the cultivation of him and the members of the beast slaughtering team were all visibly rising. Several people were crowded out by other teams and picked up by Su Chuan, who was looking for the team members. Some people laughed at Su Chuan at the beginning. Who would have thought that such an encounter would happen 100 years later?